Yes, g'day everyone. Welcome back to Free Kick, the official AFLW Fantasy podcast. And today you join us for the final rehearsal, the final run-up to round one, to the first lockout this Thursday. And I say us, it is a skeleton crew because it is just one co-host with me this evening. Specifically, Mel, how keen are you on a scale of 0 to Zali Goldsworthy against Carlton 2 years ago?
Yeah, nice. No, I'm excited. And it's a shame we couldn't have Will and Johnny with us today because this is one of our our favourite episodes. Get to draft a team, get to chat through everything that we're thinking about just before the game opens. We were recording on Monday night, so, it's exciting. It's soon. Got my tickets today. Looking forward to it.
As am I, and well done on subtle hosting by telling everyone what to expect in this episode. So the plan of attack today is we're going to run through some last-minute key information, some players to avoid picking, some things that we're thinking about for official injury lists, which come out on Tuesday at 5 p.m. We're also going to be just trying to whip through some of the biggest questions that we've got about our teams as they currently sit. And then after that, we are going to transition over to drafting a team. Now, we do this by going through pick by pick. Each co-host gets an option to select one player. Everyone gets a veto. Idea being, let's mirror the kind of process you go through to select a team, the ins and outs, the ups and downs, everything that can go right and can go wrong. We've done it the last 2 years. It's a great fun activity. We hope it's helpful. We've at least thought that it was. That's the plan of attack today. We will have a special co-host, a third person to help us with that draft. We will announce who they are later. You'll just have to listen in for the entire time to find out who that is. Jumping straight into the first order of business, let's talk about the players that we shouldn't be picking. Because we noticed that there are a number of options currently selected by a large number of teams who are injured/unlikely to play.
Yes, I was chatting to my partner about his fantasy team earlier today, and I was having a look at it and I was like, injured. Not playing round one, injured. And I was like, okay, we need to do a bit of a wipe. So I think it's very timely that we're doing this recap ahead of round one because there's a lot of players. It's not showing up on the platform right now. Everyone's got a little orange question mark next to them. Very hard to see who's actually not going to be playing. So the biggest one with 29%, in 29% of teams has to be Matty Gay, devastatingly.
Yes,
I can't remember if they announced how many weeks it was.
No, it's a to-be-determined return-to-play schedule with an
Delightful.
ACL strain, which is better than an ACL tear.
Only just. And also up there in the 20s, Celine Moody retired. So 20% of people have her on her side, will not be playing. So don't get caught up in that one. There's there's some other good 300k forwards that you can be picking instead, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, but Celine Moody is not that one. Should I just keep chatting?
You can. I have nothing to comment. Yes, no one should pick Celine Moody as much as I did last year and shouldn't. She is absolutely not going to play a minute of AFLW football this year, so she is one to be avoided.
Yes. Just rattling through a couple more. Lauren Young, the young gun we were all excited for, in 12% of teams, won't be starting the season with a knee injury. No, won't be playing the whole season with a knee injury.
No, just the start of the season.
Nope, just the start. Okay, great. Emma Carney, 10% of teams won't be playing the start of the season with calf injury. Lucy Cronin is a test, 9% of teams, but given she's so cheap, you might want to be putting in a rookie that's definitely going to play there. Daisy Darcy has done her ACL, definitely not playing. And you'll have to talk us through the other two.
So the other two are Cynthia Hamilton, who did not play in the practice match. So she is a forward from Sydney, has a knee injury, is likely to be a test, but sounds like it has been an injury-affected preseason for her. And then the final one is Eliza Wood. This was an injury replacement player who very cruelly did her ACL in the VFLW game only 3 days after she'd been announced as a member of the Carlton team. I think she was in about 5% of teams when I checked this evening. She's another one who is definitely not going to play.
And this is in no way, absolutely no way, an exhaustive list of injuries. There are many, many more, but these are just the highly owned players. But speaking of highly owned players, I have a question for you, Liam. Who is Tessa Boyd and why is she in 14.25% of sides?
That is a great question. This is someone who I should have talked about more. Tessa Boyd is another player that was picked up as an injury replacement option, this one for Neve Martin at North Melbourne. She was playing in the VFLW, is a medium tall defender, brother of ex-AFL player and premiership player Tom Boyd of the Gold Coast and the Western Bulldogs. Looks like she will be slotting in to the spot that may or may not be vacated by Sarah Wright, who is currently away on a personal leave of absence. So absolutely possible that she will play. So it's not insane that she's in 14% of teams. Not the most highly considered and discussed 400k defender or cheap defender. But this one we're going to let slide. Tessa Boyd is an okay selection.
I suspect it's an auto. She's the Georgia Stubbs of 2025.
Yes, that's a good reminder. Georgia Stubbs, who dislocated and broke her ankle in the first practice match, and yet somehow was still in like 20% of teams in round one last year.
Yes. So, well, while we're talking about percentage ownership, who's your current most unique player?
Well, this is a tough one because, Mel, I've announced my team publicly on the AFLW website and talked about a lot of the options that I currently have in my team in multiple articles since the practice match. So currently my lowest selected player is Rebecca Ott at 4.33%, and I think she might be the only one below 10% at the moment.
That's, you know what, I was really surprised because Gabby Newton's on 1.69. And you have been a big fan of Gab Newton, so I'm surprised she's still so low.
Yes, I have been big on Gab Newton. I probably haven't spruiked it as hard. In fact, I have spruiked the fact that Fremantle's midfield is a continuing enigma, and it is tough to pick so many Freo players at once. I've really liked what I've seen from Gabby Newton, but it is not a guarantee, particularly given some of the performances we saw from some of those options for kind of M3, M4, in the practice matches. Have you got Gabby Newton in your team?
In my current iteration, she is, but then I've actually got a lower owned player because I'm currently rocking with, I should have looked up how to say this before we came here because I had this problem last time. Sarah Posty.
Correct. Sarah Posty. We got the AFLW media guide over this afternoon. Hot in the inbox. And yes, it is Sarah Posty. Well done. Your first guess was correct.
1.3%.
Fascinating question. Yeah, look,
yes.
I think we're probably going to discuss her in a minute because she probably fits in some of our kind of key issues for this for trying to pick these teams. In terms of what are our kind of top questions to answer before Thursday, Mel, I'll go to you first. What position or question are you most struggling to answer?
I would really like to be able to put Piper Dunlop in my R2 because her price works well. Her fantasy potential looks great, only 300k, but I'm concerned about whether or not I can read enough into her performance in the Pracky match where there was a absent Erica Fowler. So I'm kind of waiting for the list to know, is Erica Fowler named at all? Could she be coming anywhere close to Piper Dunlop's fantasy scoring potential? Because it still has a couple of question marks for me, but it just feels almost like too good to be true, and I want it to be true.
No, Bonnie Toogood plays for Essendon, actually.
Yeah, nice.
Jeez, that joke fell flat. Look, I agree with you on Piper Dunlop. I think that the thing that you can take some solace in is Courtney Murphy looked like she performed pretty well probably enough to get the first up gig in the ruck for Essendon, at least in my kind of semi-informed Bombers opinion, but not with substantial confidence. So at least there is a pivot option at R2. In terms of the question that I am most struggling with in my team, it is value defenders. This has absolutely killed me over the last few weeks because we had so many options in that 450 to 700k or 750k price bracket have spectacularly good practice match scores. And it's just trying to figure out which ones I actually like the most and which ones I think are going to average the most through the season. Because, and this was kind of put onto me as a question to ask, this was the kind of price bracket that Sinead Goldrick sat in last year. And Mel, I'll give you a guess. What do you think she averaged in her first 7 games?
Oh, if she was coming in priced at like 55, I don't know, 75?
Bang on. 75 average across her first 7 games. And that's the conundrum, is how many of these options do I feel like have that 20 points of value? And given that a lot of these options are priced at 45 to 50, which ones am I most confident in? So I'll stop being cryptic. The options I'm thinking about are Paxi Paxman, Neve McLaughlin, Cambridge McCormick, Erica O'Shea, Libby Birch and her 10 marks, Shelley Heath and her 9 tackles, Emily Everest and Ainsley Kemp, both who had 1 million marks in a very switch-happy Hawthorn. All of them went over 80 or around 80 plus in the practice matches. Which ones do I think are going to average best? The one that I probably have the most confidence in, and it's not a lot, is Neve McLaughlin. Just based on the options that are not there in that defence at the Gold Coast. Katie Lynch isn't playing. Daisy Darcy isn't playing. But it's still not one where I have like a midfield role to really be able to like bump that floor up in a way that Sinead Goldrick, for example, was able to do. She had like a 40 to 50% CBA rolls for her first few weeks to kind of give me some confidence that, there's some tackling, there's some presence around the ball to be able to do it. And then, Paxi, confidence in their scoring pedigree, but not confidence in their age at 37. So that's concerning. O'Shea looked amazing, but that's in a team without Emma Carney playing, and they scored like 400 more fantasy points than Essendon.
Yeah, having a look at the outs in those practice matches was really important when deciphering whether or not we're going to believe this high practice match game for their fantasy scoring potential. I agree with you in that Neve McLaughlin's the biggest lock out of those, and she is the only one out of those that I have in my side, other than Bree Conan, who might be priced out of your bracket there, but she does have that midfield potential. It's tricky. I mean, when looking, I was really struggling for like back parts of the forward line. I was like, could I just put defenders there? Like, there's too many good options in the back line. But also,
which actually brings me on to something else I want to ask you, which is how many, what do we do in the forward line? Like, we essentially like had most of our really solid options that were highly priced just wither away over the practice matches in Malloy and Goldsworthy as 2 of the most highly selected. What are we doing in the forwards at that 406 in that same price bracket that we were just agonising on with defenders where there are too many options?
Yeah, well, like you mentioned Goldsworthy and Malloy, I had the same kind of concerns around do they keep their low fantasy scores from the practice game in someone like Woodlaw and Woodlands. So with Woodlaw, we were looking forward to her playing a bit more of that like ruck forward role, but with Rebecca Ott dominating in the ruck role, does that mean Wardlaw is locked forward and loses that exciting fantasy potential? Who was someone that was in my side. Same with Ash Saint / Woodland. We saw a really quiet game from her in the Pracky game. Do we believe it or do we stick to what we know? And it's almost like the more you know, the more pained you are with these decisions to make. Someone else in terms of like absences in the practice games, this is what I've been agonising over the most, is like, will Piper Window, who is delightfully listed as a forward, will their fantasy scoring still be there when Dowrick returns? And therefore, would she be a great F5 or not? There's just... Oh, and then the other one, can I trust Brooke Tonon, or do I think that having two Adelaide forwards together is too risky? Because I'd love to put Caitlin Gould in because she's just so fun to watch. But Brooke Tonon played a watch from Jess Allen interview, had a really good practice game. Lots of questions in the forward. That's where most of my effort is going at the moment.
I am also struggling with Brooke Tonon substantially, and a lot of that comes down to, and this is this is some analysis that I did for the men's, and it's around disposal to intercepts ratio, or effectively what percentage of your disposals are we going to count as intercept. It's not a perfect one-to-one, but it's just a way of kind of categorizing who is reliant on the other team giving them the ball. And Brooke Tonon's numbers aren't great. Basically, the average for all defenders, so keys and kind of mediums and smalls, is about 2.5 disposals for every intercept. So the question that, makes it a little bit more concerning is if you look at what Adelaide do, the highest scoring defender for them is Chelsea Bedell, at, I think it's like 55 or 56, but she takes literally every single kick-in. If you take away the kick-ins for Chelsea Bedell, she averages 41, which is, funnily enough, exactly the same as Sarah Allen, who is also a defender at Adelaide. She just doesn't take the kick-ins. And Zoe Prowse averages 38, who doesn't take any kick-ins. And so Tonon looked great, but I would have said that at least half of her marks, if not more, were intercept marks. Because a lot of the kind of intercept work from Adelaide is kind of in that high wing area, not often inside D50, and their attitude appears to be to go very, very linear, straight ahead, kind of not look to go laterally, not even 45 a lot of the time, and that isn't necessarily conducive to high scoring. So Brooke Tonon, it's a question of trusting the eye and how good she looked, and that fact that was the best game that I've seen her play, and she's come more highly touted this season than before, versus the fact that I don't know how many actual forwards that I like. Like, I'm picking an Adelaide forward who's not playing as a forward, they're playing as a defender.
That's the problem. It's like there's no abundance of choices, which means we're kind of having to make positive stories where there might not necessarily be some to justify their position in our side, rather than being like, oh, there's so many good options, but a few have question marks. So, yeah. What else are you battling with?
Oh, like a million things. But I think probably the main
Personal
one to
demons.
think about. No, just fantasy demons, to be honest. It's just what kind of value to have at M4 and M5. So the question is, do you have a rookie on field at M5? Because I think that the number one player to pick for that spot is Zippy Fish. And, you could make the case that there are a few other potential options. I would be picking Ash Centra with more confidence if we'd actually seen her play. But, Mike, I'll ask you the question first. Have you currently got Zippy Fish on field at M5?
Yes. And I'm pretty happy with it, because I think she's got the potential to go up significantly. And if I had that on my bench, that gets me cash for later, but I would be kicking myself. And there's a couple of those other midfielders that, like Lou Painter and I've already forgotten, Sarah Pousty, who have value, can go up, but I don't think I'm going to be in a position where I'm kicking myself that they weren't on my field compared to Zippy Fish. So, yeah, Fish is a lock for M5 for me. But I also don't have Centra, because I think she, I don't know. You've only got one M5, and I don't really want to give it to someone who I haven't seen, kind of like you mentioned, but it's just a little bit too iffy.
Yeah, and I think if you're picking Centra, I would not be confident to have her on field for the first game of the first lockout. So my conundrum is I actually think I like a lot of other options who have probably as much value as a rookie at M5. So at the moment, I've got Georgie Prespakis at M5 because I'm running with two uber premium midfielders at M2 and M3.
You've got a 948k player at M5.
Correct.
My
Correct.
Lord.
I do. I really do. And it kind of goes to what we were saying before. It's like we've lost all of our good value or our kind of premium scorers in the forward line and in defence. Matty Gay's injured. Zali Goldsworthy is sitting forward in the goal square doing tic-tac-toes with the goal umpire in the rain. Tilly Lucas-Rod there being flicked around kind of concerningly with their role. I don't know if there's anyone really screaming for me to spend lots of cash in another line. And I think that there are some midfielders that could really benefit from a more outside-focused AFLW game style, which might come about as a result of these changed tackling rules and ruck rules. So that's the kind of bet I'm making at the moment. But then there's also a case to be made for going a little bit cheaper on one of those, looking at Amy Gaylor or Georgia Patrikios. And I mentioned Gabby Newton before. In the event that they do fail or they look like they're not going to have enough value, then that's my pivot. I bring Zippy Fish on field. I downgrade to another rookie on another line, make sure I've got a midfielder in my utility. And then I spend the rest of the cash kind of in whatever other spots I need for whatever mid prices I've picked that are failing. So that's my biggest conundrum. I have had a very expensive midfield for the better part of a week. I suspect that there will be some shenanigans in the injury list and then in team announcements that will force me to more actively consider a pivot. And as much as that's been my team for like a week, it's not without massive questioning about the value. So if you're kind of umming and ahhing at the moment over that, just know that you're not alone. And part of it might be coming down to how confident you are in picking a highly priced player in defence or in the forward line.
Yeah. Tricky. So who's your elite superstar lineup in the midfield?
I've currently got Ash Riddell and Laura Gardner at M2 and M3.
Nice.
I think the pair of them had the highest number of handball receives of any players in the preseason games. And in particular, Ash Riddell with Jasmine Garner spending just a little bit more time forward. I think that could be absolutely mega to start the year. And that's kind of why I'm leaning towards it. Gardner could also be a Charlie Rowbottom if I can find some extra cash. But at the moment, I really liked what I saw from Gardner, and she's got some value on what she did last year just because of those injury-affected scores. So, yeah, it's a serious conundrum for me. I think that about sums up all of the pain points in our team. Outside of R1, but I suspect that will be a discussion that we have in the next segment, which is drafting a team. So let's throw to that now. Yes, Liam, that was an excellent throw to myself. And I now have the pleasure of announcing, debuting a new member, a new co-host I've guest co-host of the Free Kick W podcast. It is Tom Hales. Tom, thank you so much for joining. For those of our listeners that don't already know, give us a little bit of a bio about yourself.
Thanks, Liam. Thanks for having me. I feel honoured to be on the best, by far, AFLW podcast going. This is probably my...
You flatter us too much.
Don't tell Bailey that.
Tell me more.
This is probably like my second year of playing AFLW Fantasy, properly at least. I finished about 200 last year.
Nice.
I had a bit of a throw. I was close to the 100 going into the last round. I had a bit of a throw of the stumps and missed dramatically and dropped out to about 200. So looking to get that elusive AFLW hat
And is that your only fantasy hat that you'd be going for, or do you have some other fantasy success that you might be able to point to?
Well, last year in 2024, I managed to finish runner-up in the men's fantasy. Narrowly got pipped in the final round of the final game of the final round to finish second, having been top for most of the season. So,
damn, I didn't know that.
To go, so looking to go one better in AFLW this year and get a Hilux on my drive.
That is.
What did you win? Did you win anything?
Not a car.
Not a car. I think it was 10 grand for second place. So
not bad. Well, you've trumped us already with your winnings.
No, So looking forward to AFLW this year and doing co-hosting with Bales on the AFL Fantasy Fanatics with AFLW content. So looking forward to kind of dipping my toe into the content space. Nowhere near the level of you guys.
I must say, I've been listening to you and Bales this pre-season. It's been very entertaining stuff, and it's why I felt confident to bring you on for a first guest appearance on Free Kick. And because we are such kind and giving people, we're going to give you the first pick of our drafted team. Mel's got a hand up, and I think it's because I actually haven't explained the rules. For those that haven't heard us do this before, the purpose of it is we go through one by one and we pick a blank from a blank team and try and make a starting squad, but we do it as a draft. So the idea is each person in order gets to make a pick. The idea being that it helps to replicate the idea that, when you're trying to make your team, you kind of go with your most confident options first. You build around that core skeleton. You start to build it out with the muscles, and then you finish it off with the speculative skin, is a phrase that I never thought that I would say, but we're going to run with it.
Gruesome. Okay.
And also as part of this, and, this is a very core part of it, given that we did have some very interesting players selected at first attempt last year, each person gets one veto, which they get to use as part of their turn. And Tom, you get the first pick. So why don't you lead us off? Who is your number one draft pick?
I think I might go with someone pretty speculative. I think they're quite lowly owned. It'd be, is it Ebony Marinoff? Have I said her name right?
Oh, that's a random one, but yep, I think I know her. M4, M5, where are we thinking?
I think I might start her at utility.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, so Ebony Marinoff. 70% of the competition, or just a hair over, currently have her in their side at M1. So I think that's a fairly chalk pick. I think Mel, Free Kick's discussed it to death. It's been discussed nearly to death on every other podcast because she is $1.8 million. Now that we have lost more than 10% of the cap, Mel, you are up next. Who are you picking?
Okay. Yeah, so going to stick in the midfield, but go with someone that's only 15% owned currently, surprisingly, which is Ash Riddell. Exciting that it's Riddell season finally, and not, Garner's still great, but Ash Riddell is a long-time fave. And yeah, she just looks so solid in that midfield. I reckon she's going to do amazing things. Only priced at 110, and we know she can go well beyond that. So I reckon you can chuck a VC on her already if you're doing that. Are you going to put her in the side?
I am going to put her in the side. I'm just surprised. I thought that there were other options you were going to go with straight away, but I'm very keen on Ash Riddell at the moment. I am going to go with probably my favourite player in the AFLW, and that is Bonnie Toogood as my first draft selection. 501k, priced on her 38 average from last year, with two mid-first quarter injury affected scores in there in the single digits. So Bonnie Toogood gets slid right in. She's just too much value. And in order to justify picking Ebony Marinoff, we need someone cheap. Tom, you're up next. Is there any other, speculative options in the ilk of Ebony Marinoff that you just gave us before?
There might be one more, but I might just leave that one to Mel. I think could be one of Mel's favourite players. So I'm actually going to go and pick a defender. And I feel like with some speculative picks maybe to come, we need something nice and solid in that defensive line. So I want to pick Charlie Thomas from the West Coast Eagles.
Good pick. Justify it for me whilst I go searching for it.
So she averaged 70 last year, moved into the leadership group, another year in the system. She is the main ball user at the back half for the Eagles. She's going from strength to strength. She's going to get the kick-ins. I think she was almost certain to be a top 5 defender. As a result, I just think it's a very nice, solid D1 to build the side around.
I agree that it's solid, but on our little pre-recording chat, you very assertively stated that West Coast are going to make the finals. That will require them to win some more games, something that West Coast have not been known for doing in the AFLW. Is a winning West Coast Eagles team conducive to value for Charlie Thomas, or is it a bit of a risk?
I want them to reach the finals. I've got to be an optimist before that first ball is bounced this weekend.
Yeah.
However, I'm also a realist. I want to win the car. So the realist in me thinks that there's going to be quite a lot of ball down there for her to mop up and be that chief distributor.
That is such a constant battle, like picking a defender from your own side, because you're like, I want the ball in their hand, but I don't want the ball anywhere near there. It just absolutely tore me apart back when I had Sarah Verrier a few seasons ago. And I don't know if I can do it again. So brave man, but Charlie Thomas is a good pick.
Mel, I think we can both admit that Sarah Verrier might not be quite the same level of scorer as Charlie Thomas. My example.
Are you excited
Maddie
for my
Gay.
next pick?
Maddie Gay would have been a great example for me. Yes, I don't know if I always want the ball in her hands in D50. I trust her the most, and I'm assuming, Tom, that's the same with you for Charlie Thomas. So, yeah, I think that she's a walk-up for most likely to be a top 5 in their line across the non-midfield lines. I just have some questions about the ceiling or the value. But if you ask me to lock in a 70-plus scorer that's not a midfielder, that's probably where we'd be looking, or at least not a midfielder or a ruck. Mel, who are you going to pick with your next selection?
Okay, I had to go Riddell because I'm very hot on her this season. But now we get to go to the default pick, which is Bowers. Come on down. 1.159 mil because she's priced at, 0 on the app, but somewhere around 100 because of her.
She's free. She's a free player. Priced at 0.
Yep, next to Noffy.
Why is she not in every single team?
Yep. Incredibly undervalued, assuming that she can come back with the energy that we've seen her bring in previous seasons, given she missed last season for pregnancy. We already saw her have the highest fantasy score of the match potentially in the practice game, 112 or so. So lower than what she can go, but we know she's got those massive ceilings. She's the Noffy before Noffy. So given what she's priced at, might as well chuck her in.
I think it's a great selection. Tom, I'm going to thrust the devil's advocate hat upon you. What's the case against picking Kiara Bowers? Because I've got her. I'm assuming you've got her in your current team as well.
So for me, the argument against, she's in my side, I will pick her. But to me, the argument against is she missed last year through pregnancy. She's 34 now, I believe. Freo have, to coin Mel's favourite phrase, more bananas now.
Now that she knows what bananas are in the midfield.
Oh, no.
Now they have more. They have Ash McCarthy, Gav Newton, alongside Bowers, and a returning Ange Stannard, who we might get to a bit later. They might, unfortunately, be more mouths to feed, so her ceiling might not quite be there. So she might be priced fairly, especially with the new holding the ball rules. There might be fewer repeat stoppages for her to rack up the 15 to 20 tackles that she often was able to put out in her prime.
If I had to kind of pin you down on an average, what do you think she averages, Mel? And this is coming to you as well.
I think she averages 102.
Oh, very precise and low.
Okay. I love that it's precise. It seems precise, but what is more precise about 102 than 100?
I think she's just better than 100.
Yeah.
I think 13 points of value. I think she's priced at 89 is great for that position in the side. But I don't think she's going to be the 120 mid that she was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I agree. It was, Tom, that was more a point at Mel for being like, 102 is precise and specific. It's like, it's no more specific a number than 100 or 105 and 110. I was being a pedant. I
apologize.
Mel, who are you? What do you think Kiara Bow's going to average?
12. I reckon she's got 10 points of headroom on whatever Tom just said. So, I think 100 is probably accurate. But given her price stat, that's significant value. If she can get up to there, and she might not have the ceiling, but if she can earn us some money and then pull out those big games eventually, every now and then. So unless you're vetoing it, she's there for now.
No, I was not planning on vetoing. All right, it's now up to my next draft pick, and I'm going to pick a tool. I'm going to pick Jess Wrench as the first rookie-priced player in this side. Another West Coast Eagle. There's a serious WA flavour to this team so far, half the team. I think as the highest-scoring rookie defender with close to the best role of a non-midfield rookie, I think that there's absolutely one, there's very few worlds where I don't pick Wrench in my side. I think the thing that we're going to have to figure out, and I have to figure out, is whether or not to start her on field. As we kind of flagged earlier in this episode, it's the real conundrum. We'll let that kind of play out for the rest of this selection, this draft. Tom, you're up next. Who are you picking?
I'm going to pick the best name I've ever heard, Zippy Fish. It
is the best name. And she beats out Poppy Rainbow Bolts for best name in the AFLW.
Zippy Fish, high draft pick, prime halfback roles, getting kick-ins in the practice game, really solid job security, had a full pre-season. But I think we need to decide whether she sits on field at M5 or just slides off field at M6. But I'm sure, much like Jess Wrench, we'll get to that as we pick the side.
Okay, I agree with all of it. In an effort to avoid just spiraling and talking and yapping for too long, I agree with everything. Mel, you're up next.
As tempting as it is to take that last midfield spot on field, well, at least one of the big midfield spots, I think I'm going to save some money and go to the back line for Niamh McLaughlin, who is someone I have thoroughly enjoyed watching in previous seasons. Fantastic to see that she has really stepped up coming into this season, both in her co-captaincy and also filling the halfback role, given a number of kind of players falling around her. So we saw her have that fantastic new role in the practice game, and she's, as well as that, she's so strong. She can kind of push through contests and really make an impact. And at priced at only $649K, I think she's got a decent amount of headroom on her.
Yeah, I think
she is kind of mid-price madness range, of which there are quite a few options in the back line, but I think she's probably the most certain of them.
I agree completely. And it's the reason why she's in my current team. I'm going to not be as nice, and I'm going to take up a fifth midfield spot, and I'm going to pick Georgie Prespakis, the best scorer from the practice matches, priced at 73 to 948K, has absolutely 100%, like 100 plus scoring potential, even with tag games potentially incoming, a natural accumulator, a beautiful ball user, a natural stoppage player, just like a very complete fantasy option, someone that will probably be in and out of our sides for a decade. I thought she just looked incredible against Gold Coast, albeit a Gold Coast that I think will be fighting for the wooden spoon this year. So don't expect an average of 150. And I don't either, but I think that there's absolutely 30 points of upside here, potentially. Tom, you're up next.
That forward line is looking a little bit bare. So I think I'm going to go with Ange Stannett.
Angelique Stannett.
Yeah. Didn't play last year. So as a result, comes in underpriced, gets the discount from her average in 2023. And just that inbuilt value means that I think she's a strong starting pick. My one flag would be there, as I said, with the Kiara Bowers, there's a lot of bananas there now. And a lot of her big scores in 2023 did come when Bowers wasn't in the side. But I think to get somebody playing through that midfield, I'm not worried about the practice game because that game was literally water polo and not AFLW footy. I think she's going to be a really strong starting pick for us.
Yeah, I would really love if we could just do all the practice matches like indoors so that we could just get the most pure look at exactly what the roles are going to look like. I was rewatching GWS Carlton today. My God, that was in a swimming pool. That was ridiculous. Jono was not kidding. Well, Mel, as another Freo player, we're continuing the WA theme. Are you going to go for another Sandgroper?
I'm going to mix it up and go with Montana Ham in the forward line. Very excited that she's listed as a forward. This is someone we were very eager for back when she debuted in the midfield as a young'un, back when they allowed children to play. And she's now had a few more years coming in fit, rather. It's exciting that she's getting the role in that midfield and coming in healthy for the season. Priced at 52.5 feels like an absolute steal for her, for someone who's probably going to be playing a chunk of midfield who's listed as a forward. So I think that she's one of the big value picks that we have in the forward line. Other than the two that we already have in Stannett and Too Good, I think after this it becomes a little bit more question mark and where some of the vetoes might pop up. Yep.
Well, I'm going to throw in a vetoable pick, and I'm going to put in a Wales twin. I'm going to pick the Wales twin that's playing. I'm going to pick Lucy Wales as our R1. And I kind of talked about it on the last episode, talked about it a little bit before. I think of all the rucks at the moment that I feel like can score without transition points that aren't priced over a million, well, at whatever Strom is at, 1.4 million. I think Lucy Wales is most capable to do that. So she's still expensive, priced at her average of 82.4, and has a dreadful matchup first up. But I'm having to do a lot of projection about scoring from rucks this season, just with those new rules and what I saw in the practice matches. And Lucy Wales looked the best. So that's why we're going to throw her in there. We're going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons, or a hawk, but same thing. And let's just see what structure comes out in the wash now. Tom, veto, you're interested, or are you going to run with it?
She can sit there for now. I'm going to pick a defender. And this could get vetoed just due to price point. I want to pick Serene Watson from St Kilda.
Big fan of Serene. Not the team she plays for, but the footballer.
Liam's favourite coach, second favourite coach in the AFL, coaches St Kilda. So. No, I'm picking her because in the first 4 rounds last season, she had a score of 50 or below. After that point, she didn't go below 65. Priced at 67, I think there's inbuilt upside there. She is the main interceptor, main user off that half-back line at St Kilda, and I don't think they're going to be that good. So I think the ball's going to be down there. So I think she's a really strong pick. And I think she could be a lock for a top 5 defender.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of understated the fact that she's also only I think 23, 24, kind of young in her AFLW career, didn't really get a whole lot of time to play when she was at the Gold Coast before joining St Kilda, and then was given no role in her first season. So I'm fully on board with Serene Watson as a pick. She was one of the first defenders, probably one of the only defenders who hasn't left my side. Mel, any veto on that one? Or are you going to move on to a speculative pick now? We're starting to run out of cash. We've got 3.9 million left, and we've got 8 players still to pick.
I think Serene Watson is a very good pick. It'll be a cash thing later, I suspect, driving our vetoes. Well, what am I going to do then? I am going to go with...
You can tell it's starting to get a little bit more difficult now with the pondering.
We've all picked some nice players that we all like.
Yep. And now it gets questionable. Okay. I'm going to go Piper Window, please.
Okay, we're going to go with the Piper Window from Port Adelaide, 646K forward. Yeah,
we like that she's listed as a forward.
She's going to stay there.
Is she going to stay in the team or is she going to stay forward?
So stay forward or in the midfield? Is she going to? What kind of role is she going to get?
Yeah, it is a question mark. And we saw that Abby Dowrick, the largest fantasy scorer of the overall lowest fantasy scoring side, missed the practice match, which allowed Piper Window to flourish. It's a question mark on her role, how much mid and forward it is. But I think that we're kind of loose on options in the forward line, and she has that upside potential. I think she also kind of gives a good club. This is not something that we pay attention to, but smattering of clubs in our side. We don't have anyone from Port Adelaide at the moment, even it out a bit. Yeah, I think she's got a few question marks, but I'm backing it.
Look, it's fair. I don't know if I love it, but I don't know if I love many forward picks. So I can't hate it. I can't hate it too much. I'm now going to throw another cat amongst the pigeons, and I'm going to pick someone who has not made it into my team, but I'm desperate to pick in a format. So she might be joining the free kick team, and that is Amy Gaylor as our 6th midfielder pick so far. So priced at 53, 688K, playing a midfield role. She looked like the Bombers' second best midfielder against North Melbourne. I think that there's an 80 in here. Is she going to be better than Georgie Prespakis, who also scored well, looked good in the practice match? I don't know, but I don't want to watch more St Kilda, so I will watch more Bombers. And so Amy Gaylor's going in the team.
The thing I like about Gaylor is we saw in a few of the games last season, more towards the back end, there was starting to become quite a fantasy relevant role for Amelia Radford in that midfield mix, who has unfortunately done her ACL and will be missing the season. But Amy Gaylor's kind of personal development and growth timing well with a bit of an opening in that midfield kind of pair together well for a fantasy breakout potential.
Well, that is as positive as a reaction as I was expecting. Yeah, I'm not picking her in my current team, but I wish we had more midfield spots to pick it. So that's why I'm doing it. Tom, we're now 2.5 million left for 6 players. Who are you picking? We've got 2 defenders, 1 ruck, and 2 forwards and a utility.
So we need to save some cash. So let's go for someone who's absolutely basement bargain 300K. And that's Grace Koss from GWS.
Another Irish woman.
We love Irish rucks at GWS. The one that we liked last season, Alice O'Dowd, isn't as far as I know, unless she arrived today, isn't currently in the country.
It
And
sounds
as
like
someone from that part or
hot off the
somewhere
press.
close to that,
It sounds like she's arrived back as of
she
Sunday.
arrived. Okay.
Yesterday. So you're not too out of the loop, Tom. It's okay.
Okay. This pick might be worse now, because my whole spiel of if she's going to get a few games as a ruck to start the year, might get that cash turning quickly before O'Dowd comes back. I might be vetoing it myself.
That would be a first in these recordings that we've done. But I respect the game. I respect the way you play. That's solid. I think that she looked good against Carlton.
She looked great. She scored 55. She ticked all the boxes, especially for a bench adjacent forward. So I'm happy with her then.
90% of forwards at the moment, though. They're bench adjacent, they feel like.
Yeah. F5, 6. Please, can I have 4 be on the bench too, please?
Yeah, look, I rate it. I don't hate. I think that there are a few options at that F5, F6. I'm sure we'll get to some of them later. Mel, who are you picking next? You going defender? You going bench ruck? What are you thinking? For those that aren't watching this, which will be most people, is Mel just going, looking at the screen, looking at small screen, looking at big screen, looking at small screen, trying to find the right pick.
Yes, thinking slowly between my monitors. I'm just thinking of how much money we have left. Okay, yeah, cheap. This is not the time to add Bree Conan. I don't think we can afford her right now.
We could afford Bree Conan.
You reckon?
Bree Conan. Yeah, we
okay,
could.
Let's do it then. Let's chuck Bree Conan into our nicely stacked backline.
I'm all for it. I thought she looked great. The highest scoring defender in the practice match. She's gone 120 before playing the same role, albeit in the grand final, where she had 1 million tackles and they won.
Yeah. The question mark is around, does that role, is this a new look for the role that stays throughout the season, or was that putting on a show in the practice match for some unknown reason? Treat the prackies as you do the grand final, as they say. So not really sure if this is going to stick around. But
they all say that,
putting
obviously.
It in my side. Yeah, exactly.
It's a
That's how you approach
refrain. I'm all for it.
We're going to have to start doing some vetoing, though. Otherwise, this is a very...
I'm gonna do a cop out here, and I'm gonna put Piper Dunlop in the Punlop is how I've spelt it. I'm that excited to get her in the side. She's going in at R2, ruck from Geelong, quite comfortably the most popular rookie ruck at the moment. Had the best score, had the best role of all the rookie rucks. I'm not confident that she will absolutely be there, but she's currently the best option of a questionable bunch, so she's in. We've now got 1.2 million left, or just over, for 3 players. And so it's a bench defender, bench forward, and a utility. Tom, you're up.
But we have...
And we can start to veto as well.
Yeah. I'm going to go for a bench defender. So I'm happy with Jess Wrench on the field. And I'm going to go with Beck Ott.
Going to go with the Otter.
I'm going with as many rooks in my side as possible. Beck Ott played lots of rook time in the preseason game. Cheap defender. If is it Reen?
That is a great question, Tom.
It's Reen Karras.
Reen Karras is named, I'm less on that pick. But if Reen stays in the VFLW, then I'm quite big on Beckott as a starting pick. And it saves us some cash.
Look, it's solid. Interesting as well, you're going to go for as many rucks as possible, given we've discussed at length how ruck scoring might be down. But I see it for the 344k price tag. It's very cheap.
For the cheapies, it's still... Rookie's still...
It's absolutely okay.
Yeah.
Mel, 898k to pick 3 players. the math's not going to maths, it would appear. So we're going to have to start
Two
culling.
players.
Two players. No, we don't have to start culling at all. Mel, you're up.
What great.
In fact, because we have so much money for these two players, I'm going to veto Koss. Get her out of there. For all of the reasons Tom mentioned before. I don't even need to add anything. You did it all. I think she's an okay pick, but we've got a little bit extra money if we add 3 and 3 for our bench. So I'm going to upgrade her slightly. I hope this math works. To Brooke Tonon. Let's see if that sums.
Yep, we're
Delightful.
still good. We're still
money
good
to spare
for Brooke Tonon. I think this is a great pick. If only, like we've kind of talked about it before, only for all of the downsides, great potential upside for this pick.
And I think it fits in well with our team mix in that we've got quite a few undervalued players in the forward line there. We can have a bit of a specky on someone who, I mean, hopefully she gets more than 35, but like might not have the most upside or could generate us some cash to begin with.
Yeah.
And then she can go.
I am going to veto Beck Ott, and I'm going to bring in Erica O'Shea. And we're going to put the wrench on the bench.
Damn, Tom. Sorry.
Sorry, Tom.
Gone.
You were just too spicy with picks that are very popular around the competition at the moment. I just thought that Erica O'Shea looked incredible. It's the best we've seen her play against Essendon. Has some more responsibility, much like Niamh McLaughlin looks like she's calmed down a little bit, not as hectic, and definitely benefited, set up great as a switch player on the wing. So she will come on and Jess Wrench will go to the bench. Tom, you're up next. We have 610K remaining and we have 2 players to pick.
So I think I'm going to save some cash. So I'm going to veto Lucy Wales. And I'm going to bring in Matilda Schultz.
Therefore, meaning that we didn't need window in order to get Port Adelaide in the team. But fair enough.
I'm doing this purely because I don't see much difference in this kind of bracket of rooks. Kind of the more fit Wales, Schultz kind of tier underneath Strom. So I'm happy paying the least, and it might allow us to bring in a certain number 1 pick on the bench.
I think that is a very good reminder that we do still want the potential for Ash Centra. Mel, you're up next.
Oh, well, hang on. Quick math time. Centra is 420 and we got 743. I'm seeing if we can afford Emma McDonald. I think we can.
No, we cannot.
Can't. That would be a no. Okay.
We can still do that. We can still do that. We don't have to go for Ash Centra.
We don't have to go for Ash Centra. I feel like we should have Ash Centra though. And I don't have I can't say that fast. Ash Centra. I don't have her in my side at the moment, but I do really want her in a side. So I think this is a smart play. Let's chuck in I've said it too many times. I've lost it. Let's chuck in Centra onto our utility. Thank you very much.
There we go. So I think that's fair enough. I think it's a good pivot option for everybody. Just if she's not great, she's at a price where we can kind of go down and generate some cash. We've now got 323K. So thank you, everyone. We're now in a great spot. Lots of options for me to pick from across all the lines. I have to pick a forward too, which is our favourite line. Could pick Celine Moody. That'd be great. I'm actually going to pick Blahinbode. I'm going to go another Irish player. I think that means that we've got about 17 in our team. And that leaves us with 23K remaining. I don't hate it. It's got some new picks in there that haven't kind of structured around. I've not had a team with Thomas in there. I've had no teams with Gaylor at M5, but I think this is a fascinating little option. We're running pretty deep in the forward line. Brooke Tonon is our cheapest player. Oh, my goodness, that absolutely stuck in my throat. Brooke Tonon is our cheapest player, and I think that this is a more than serviceable side. Tom, thank you so much for coming on and joining with us. You were a welcome addition, as much as you are a West Coast fan, and I felt outnumbered as a Melburnian versus the two Perth/ex-Perth habitants. Where can people find you? What can they expect from you AFLW-wise this season?
Yeah, thanks, Liam. Thanks, Mel. Thanks. It's been an absolute honour to be on this, and I'm really happy with the side we put together, actually. You can find me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Tom_Hales_, and I am co-hosting the AFL Fantasy Fanatics AFLW section this year with Bales. So tune in if you want to come along for my ride to trying to win a Hilux/hat. Going for the Hilux, probably might not win a hat. So yeah, thanks for having me, and this was a lot of fun.
You were an incredible addition. Thanks so much, Tom. Cheers. And that is that, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed the appearance from Tom. He was a lovely addition to the Free Kick team as a guest host. So that's it. That's it for our pre-recorded podcast content for round one. It is very nearly the end of the preseason. So here is what you need to know and what you need to keep in mind for the next few days. So we get our injury report Tuesday, 5 p.m. We get our first teams fully announced on Wednesday night at 6:20. So that's Thursday. For Thursday's games, which is Carlton and Collingwood, 7:15 first lockout, and then West Coast and Gold Coast. We get those teams on Wednesday, and then at sometime around 8:30, very, very importantly on Wednesday evening, you will be getting a live streamed on-air Free Kick on-air recording involving me and to be determined other Free Kick co-hosts, where we will talk about that injury list and also those first two sets of confirmed teams. The next things to keep in mind are obviously those lockout times at 7:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time on Thursday and then 9:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Now, because of the fact the game is in Melbourne and at Icon Park, and Mel and I are going to, along with our other co-hosts, are hoping to be there at the game, we won't be able to do an on-air recording. But never fear, at 5 p.m. on Friday evening, we will be jumping on to break down all of the teams that were announced on Thursday evening at 6:20. So that means that all of Friday's teams will be locked in and confirmed. All of Saturday's squads will be locked in and confirmed. And Sunday will be extended squad. So there'll be an additional 3 players named on the bench. Those get trimmed at 5 p.m. on Friday. So 5 till 6, you will get Free Kick, chopping it up and giving you a full breakdown of the key details that have appeared, the ins and outs, and all the things you need to know before the first game on Friday, which happens at 6:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time. So sorry that I've just yelled a bunch of team names and times and dates at you. There are a lot of things to be across this week. I promise you that this is the most complicated week because it is always the first one we get a complete mad rush of information. Make sure that if you are interested in listening to any of that stuff, be it live or after the fact on our podcast streams, make sure you are following us, our podcast streams. So that's Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, Free Kick AFLW Fantasy Podcast, and also the official AFLW Fantasy Podcast. We will also have those up on YouTube. And then for the live recording, so on Wednesday and Friday, make sure you are following us on Twitter if you want to listen in live, if you want to ask some questions. Mel, please say something less related to admin before I absolutely fall in a heap.
I was just wondering how long you can talk for without taking a breath. That was a good 3 minutes there. Very impressive. Makes it very easy for me to just sit here and be like, yep, that's the admin. So do everything Liam just said and we'll chat to you later.
Yes. Yeah, look, it's a skill. I am known for a bit of a yap. It's not a surprise that I can keep talking on and on and on.
I think we can wrap up now.
I think we can. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I hope you are keen to make your AFLW fantasy team. You will absolutely be able to hear more from us from wherever you look for it. We'll speak to you soon. See ya.
Bye.